Hey guys, thanks for helping us get to 7,000 subscribers. Oh, hello there. I'm gonna do something a little different here, which is that I'm gonna try to do a Q&A video while playing a game. Because I think, I keep having I keep trying to do these Q&A videos and tell myself to do them, and it's actually really hard for me to just get myself to sit there and stare at, like, some screen and not... I'm just flat out playing this wrong all of a sudden. I'm really bad at getting myself to just stare at a screen and like a waveform happening and not answer questions. Like try to do a Q&A and just alone and just directly addressing people that aren't in the room. So I'm trying to play a game for a bit to see if that goes any better. Also, things have been busy. You guys are acting like you're in a hurry or something, because that subscriber count has been going up in a surprising pace. I meant to do a 7,000 subscribers video. We are like on our way to 7,400 at this point, which is a bit of a surprise. Hang on a second. That's what's going wrong here. You're supposed to be in manual mode when I'm controlling you. There we go. So I'm just gonna do some grinding here and there while I try to answer some questions. It's a lot of questions. I've been saving them into one document, and instead of what I decided to do is I just brought all of them together, regardless of whether they were relevant still. So there's technically some questions here that were around when I hit 1,000 subscribers, which is baffling to say. The fact that that's even a recent enough thing for me to still have questions lying around from it, but I never got around to answering them all, and I feel bad for that. I keep telling myself and telling you guys that this might be become a weekly thing, and then I keep making that not a weekly thing, because I am really good at telling myself I'm going to do things and then not doing said things. So, I'm just rambling, as expected. Let's do some questions. So, GreenViper28 asks, do you ever think you'll start doing face cams on all of your vids? No. I actually don't like face cams as a general thing. I think they offer some level of value for the streaming crowd, because people on Twitch are... They're like obsessed with audience interaction, which I live with a bunch of people that watch Twitch videos all day and don't watch YouTube really. So it's been interesting learning about that audience a bit, which is that they crave like directly interacting with the streamer, and so the face makes them personable. And honestly, there's a whole thing where people that watch stuff on Twitch aren't even there to watch the game half the time. They're just watching that specific streamer all the time. It's a totally different audience thing, but for me, I'm playing RPGs all day. I mean, face cams have some value on YouTube if you're playing like horror games or stuff where you're all energetic and wacky and stuff, and you're making a bunch of content for the younger audiences around here. But if you're making long form, like 40+ minute RPG videos, like if there's any genre that tends to make you like just have a blank expression as you like read stuff or concentrate or try to process what's going on in front of you, it's like RPGs and RTSs, and that's shown by the fact that I'm currently trying to play this while doing questions and immediately realizing how that's a bad idea. Yeah, that fell apart. That's fine. I'm just distracting myself with something. I will gladly just reset back in time. That's not the important thing. But, that is pretty funny, though, that I immediately got myself killed. But yeah, I think face cams are kind of pointless most of the time. It takes up a bunch of the screen. It actually adds a lot of extra work to the editing process and recording process. You have to sort of prepare yourself to be a certain... Your appearance has to be to a certain quality. Like, you have to be self-conscious about what you look like to be presentable, which adds time to your recording time. Weakness is Earth. Hang on a second. So you're sitting there trying to get up set up properly so that you can be presentable for your facecam video, and then you have to sync your audio with the game audio. But then you have to also sync that audio with your facecam and make sure that you're lip synced with that. And then you have to find the right place to put it on the screen. And the way that I would probably do it is I'd probably be obsessing over what times are the right times to show the facecam versus hide it. Because it'll be like distracting and stupid at some points. Like, why am I supposed to have a face cam on the screen while like an intense cutscene is happening in The Witcher? Like, am I gonna show my face cam when like romance is happening between like Yennefer and Geralt or something? Like, is that when we want to see my awkward face just sort of sitting there in the corner watching a movie. Because watching someone watch a movie is the most boring thing in the world. And a lot of time in RPGs, you are kind of just watching someone do something. I don't know, I think facecams not only are they extra work, but they're kind of extra work that I think would ultimately be detrimental to the quality of my videos. So no, I don't have plans for facecam. If I ever do this full-time and like streaming is like a regular thing that I do, my ultimate goal for streaming would be that streaming would actually be like totally separate from my recordings. The idea is that I always do that wrong. I always get that controlled mixed up. In my perfect world, all my streams would be completely unique content from my YouTube stuff, because I think there's a bad compromise between the two. If you're not acknowledging chat in a stream, you're kind of doing streaming wrong. But if I acknowledge chat while recording YouTube videos, then I'm hurting the quality of the YouTube video. So it's really a mixed bag there. I do not know how to control Edna, apparently. Ah, fuck it. So, I think that recording YouTube on Twitch kind of can hurt the YouTube video if you actually acknowledge chat, but, recording, how do I put this? Yeah, doing the YouTube video on Twitch hurts Twitch and YouTube at the same time. Like, you're compromising both formats in a bad way, so ultimately I'd want to do Twitch-only streams where I'm just playing some game, maybe with a facecam, and just hanging out for a few hours or whatever. If I could ever get into a place where I have time to do that, because it's a massive time sink, obviously. At the moment I can't do that, so you probably never see facecam on anything unless it's a weird, like, one of those Saturday, Friday night streams we do sometimes, where we're just sort of wasting time and having fun with some people online. And those are things that I don't really have time for lately because every single game came out at the same time, so not even that one rare bastion of potential facecam is really happening. That's fine. Honestly, cameras make me nervous oftentimes. I mean, I have trouble recording these things when I'm actually just, like... I have trouble doing these videos where if I'm just staring at a computer monitor and nothing's there, I'm immediately finding it easier to just keep talking while playing a game, as if I'm doing a Let's Play, even though... Well, I technically am doing... I think this is technically a Let's Play right now. This is all live, I'm just playing the game. But yeah, no facecams, and I'm rambling. Let's see. Who's your favorite doctor and why? My answer's gonna be... Do you know, like we were saying, about the Earth revolving? It's like when you're a kid, the first time they tell you that the world's turning and you just can't believe it because everything looks like it's standing still. I can feel it. The turn of the Earth. The ground beneath our feet is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour and the entire planet's hurtling through around the sun at 67,000 miles per hour, and I can feel it. We're falling through space, you and me, clinging to the skin of this tiny little world, and if we let go... That's who I am.
I found this.
Alright. Next question. Are there any lost series, as in a game you found so unlikable and disappointed, or a disappointment that led you to not edit and upload it? That's definitely happened a few times. For a few reasons. There's actually one case where I probably shouldn't have uploaded it, but I did, which was me and Wanderbot played Nom Nom Galaxy, and I uploaded as a couple of videos, and that game was unplayable. And I'm not playing as the character I want to play as. That game was totally unplayable in a really awful way, because if you were playing online, there was huge input lag, so you couldn't even like do basic like walking around and jumping properly. I ended up uploading it because I was like, well, fuck it, I bought this game, and we're here on day one. Like, it's the responsible thing for trying to get people to come to the channel is to just make content for this game that I spent money on. But yeah, that was not great content. But as far as stuff that I've flat out canceled. Really early on, I tried to play Tales to the Borderlands, and I actually liked the game, but I found myself fighting over when to talk versus when the game should talk, because the game talks non-stop, that it was really hard to figure out when to do commentary. And as a result, I kind of just went, I don't want to do this, and I gave up midway through the episode, and just played the episode on my own for fun, and just let that happen. I might go back to Tales from the Borderlands, because since that happened, since that originally happened, we did Life is Strange, and obviously I got a much better feel for when to talk and when not to talk while playing that kind of game.
You've been slacking,
which makes that way easier for me. So now that I've done Life is Strange, I might be practiced enough to do, I do that again, I always get the control wrong, there we go. I might be practiced enough to properly do, Telltale games, video games, which is good, because I've wanted to play, when I find the time, the Game of Thrones series, and the Borderlands series, and both of the Walking Dead seasons, and stuff like that, on the channel if I can find time, and it'd be done in a similar fashion to how I did Life is Strange. But as far as stuff that was so bad that it didn't get content made out of it, there was a period of time, probably like a year ago now, where I played a series of games with Wanderbot and TLE on the internet, which is a guy who had a channel for a little while. He actually would seem to have the right feel for how to do this stuff, but he ended up, I think he ended up just sort of petering off and just not dealing with it anymore. But two of the games we played, it was kind of a joke for a little while. As far as I can remember, is that basically whenever I played a game with TLE on the internet, that would not turn into content, and it would not make it to my channel. At one point, we tried to play Magicite, which is that's a game that was like a central thing for TLE's channel. He basically built a channel around Magicite the way that I basically built a channel around Dark Souls 2 to an extent. And so that game was a big deal for him, but we tried playing it online with me, him, and Wanderbot, and not only did the session go really poorly, but I kind of hated the game, honestly. It was a game that had like sort of Castlevania style combat, or like more accurately sort of Terraria style combat, and it's like you were tiny little characters running around in 2D. It had a crafting system, but it was also a randomly generated roguelike with permadeath, so it was actually, immediately I'm like, I don't like this. I'm supposed to spend how much time figuring out how to craft stuff just so I can die permanently and have to start over? I'm like, that's... Crafting system mixed with permadeath leads to me not being in a good mood. But also the combat was infuriating to me, because your characters would have like 8 hit points, and half the stuff in the game seemed to be like about like giving you melee weapons. But if you got hit by anything, you lost not even 1 hit point, but it seemed to be multiple hit points at once. There wasn't a ton of healing going on, and was it half the if you tried to ever attack with melee attacks, like you'd probably just end up getting like just bumping into your opponent while you're swinging your weapon at them, which means that like your attempts to hurt your opponent would actually do like killing yourself.
That was actually pretty decent.
So basically, I thought it was a really poorly made, like, pretty garbage game, and I've tried it a few times since, and I've just never been able to have any fun, like, at all playing Magicite. I just scrapped our entire recording session, I believe, and it never made it on my channel. It's actually on... I believe my content with TLE and Wander is on both of their channels, so you can watch it there. I'm backtracking, so this is all area that probably doesn't have monsters in it right now. I think you can watch me play Magicite with them on their channels, but for me it was unusable footage, because even having a laugh, like, I'll play a bad game. I love playing bad games, or games I don't even enjoy really, like, making content of that actually works for me oftentimes. That's what sad games was for a very long time, was playing games that I didn't like on purpose a lot. But the biggest problem we faced was, for content, is that I was freaking dead on the ground for so long of the actual footage. Because I'd be like, I have 8 hit points, and like, oh, now you're dead. It's like, now what do I do? I'm all out of my 8 hit points, this sucks. And so, they wouldn't revive me right away, and my camera wouldn't even, like, follow them or anything, so I guess I can't go this way. What the hell? Can I go this way? My camera wouldn't follow them, and so it was just staring at me dead on the ground with no enemies or allies on screen. And I'm like, this is, I can't do anything with this entire session. I allowed it sat on my hard drive along with some Terraria footage for a while. Before that, it was all ultimately scrapped, because I'm just like, this is not going to lead to anything, so unfortunately. The other case was another game I played with TLE and Wanderbot, which is we played A Valley Without Wind 2. I hope it's without wind and not with wind. I might be getting the name wrong. But A Valley Without Wind 2 is like another like weird procedurally generated roguelike RPG thing with multiplayer in 2D. You might see a theme here. And I'm just starting to get a feeling like I don't like these randomly generated roguelike games very much, do I? Because, I mean, there's great ones. Spelunky is fantastic. But a lot of these sort of games are like so randomly generated to the point of like nothing, it feels like nothing matters, which is kind of a problem. It's like if you don't think anything matters, then you're like, I don't, like, there's no level design, the monsters just kind of randomly scattered around, and it's just noise. Like, randomly generated should be limited. Like, Spelunky has really cool random levels that make them really compelling. Then obviously, a lot of people are really big fans of, there's a lot of really big fans of Binding of Isaac and stuff like that. But like, those are limited in how random they are. There are certain controlled variables, but it's not just everything spawns at random, but things spawn at random within certain constraints in relation to each other, because that's what makes them work together in an interesting manner.
This is nothing.
If they literally spawn randomly, then you're like, this entire game is absolute noise. What do I do? And that's what Valley Without Wind was. It was just nonsense happening everywhere, and there wasn't much of a goal, and you kind of just exist in this world and run around, I guess. And it played poorly. It looked really ugly, which usually you don't have to worry about with 2D games, but this game was really, really ugly all the time with its 2D graphics. So I found nothing appealing about it and ultimately just scrapped the footage. I might have used it as a background for some previous Q&A or vlog video at some point, because that's what I do sometimes with footage I know I'm not going to use for anything else. Let's see, so that's a number of scrapped series or shows that should have been scrapped, and a few examples here and there. Have I been saying who asked these questions? Let's just recap really quick. Who's your favorite Doctor and why was InReserveProductions? GreenViper28 said the Facecam question, BallotBoxer was this last one about if there's any lost series. Pitohui says, tell us about your siblings. I have a brother, his name's Eric. He, how do you tell about your siblings? I'm trying to process. He's 2 inches taller than me, so he's 6'2", like dirty blonde, 2 years younger than me. He currently lives, it's kind of funny. I moved like an hour away from home, and he lives like an hour in the opposite direction from home. So we actually don't see a lot of each other. He also likes to play games a lot, and he also has he's also made a number of YouTube channels and stuff like that. He's not a Let's Player. He used to be a vlogger. I think he was specifically influenced by Philip DeFranco and Live Lava Live, because those were things he used to watch a lot of both those things, and had like a Live Lava Live sweatshirt. And then one day he just started making a vlogging channel called Something's Queer Here. And more recently, he's tried to start a video game channel with a friend of mine named Max that you would have seen in. Oh yeah, Max was in like episode 2 or 3 of the Yaug, and I think he's in Charlie Murder. I think I uploaded episode 1 of Charlie Murder way back in the day, even though that never went anywhere, unfortunately. They tried to make a video game related channel. It was gonna be like a two-headed thing where like Max was gonna be streaming all the time, and Eric was gonna be doing guides on like Heroes of the Storm classes or characters or something. But I think that fell apart pretty quickly. People try to make gaming channels, and it's always a tough thing to work on. He went to school as like a computer engineer or something, not like a bachelor's degree, but like a some kind of certificate or certification thing.
You were quite strong.
He's currently going through school right now for I believe a bachelor's degree in psychology or something, while working at PetSmart in town a few hours away. How do I put that? What else is there to say? It's really weird. I'm not good at describing people. It's a weird feeling. Hello, ghost monster. As far as gaming goes, he's a big fan of. He's been really hooked to Blizzard games in general. we used to play the same games all the time. So we had the same childhood of playing Nintendo 64 games and PlayStation 1 games and stuff like that. So we had, for a long time, we played the exact same games all the time. In fact, for a long time, a lot of the games you guys, just assume I will have played probably, but I haven't played, are because I shared all my video games with my brother. So we honestly, I couldn't just hang out and, play Zelda all to myself for, 60 hours, or I don't even know how long Ocarina of Time is. I'm just making up numbers that are probably wildly overestimating how long the game is. I don't think Zelda games are actually that long, are they? Most of my childhood was playing games like the multiplayer mode of Kirby and the Crystal Shards in the 64, or Battle Tanks, or Power Stone, lots of multiplayer stuff with your brother because you could. We used to fight over one internet connection back when we had dial-up because it was the only way to play Diablo 2, and that was one of the first times where we were both super addicted to a game, but it was a game that you only could play one per console, and we didn't per platform, and we didn't have a whole bunch of computers lying around, so we had to take turns on who would get to play Diablo 2 at any given moment, which is awful on dial-up anyway, and not really a game that mixes well with being rationed out in such a fashion. But around the time Diablo 2 came out was when I got we got a new Xbox, and he threw a tantrum because he was even though he said that he wanted the Xbox back then, he was like, I didn't want an Xbox, this is bullshit, because he used to react poorly to Christmas presents as a I don't know, 12-year-old back then, I guess. He would always be really bitchy about stuff like that. So I think I've just cleared this place out, unfortunately, which is a little awkward for the purposes of what I'm doing. So basically, when we got the Xbox and the Xbox 360 and so on, I was kind of the only person who cared. So that's when I got really into Halo, and I played Halo 2 online almost non-stop for 9 months. And since I had this Xbox that was all my own, I'm oh, I got Knights of the Old Republic, I got Jade Empire, and suddenly I was a BioWare fan. And suddenly I had a much more inflated interest in playing these Western RPGs with the dialogue options where you pick the dialogue and change what happens, and you fight some bad guys and go on a big long quest, because that was kind of my first I think Knights of the Old Republic was my first Dungeons and Dragons style role-playing game, by which I mean RPGs that actually are about role-playing as opposed to Diablo, which is just about the mechanics of getting loot and getting stats, which is what I find least interesting about RPGs. I like customizing a character within a talent tree, and I like making story decisions. I frankly don't care very much about loot in games, which is probably why that's probably why I like Dark Souls, actually, is you kind of pick one weapon and you kind of end up sticking with one weapon for a long time in many cases, and I find that appealing because I don't really care about loot as a concept. The number game wore off on me a long time ago, around the time I was grinding, raiding 8 hours a day in a WoW guild trying to take down Black Temple and stuff like that, so your numbers don't do much for me anymore. But so basically he was always on the computer and I was always on the video game console, because we had both for once, because we finally had a computer that could play games properly, and I had my video game console, so we started diverging. So he would always play all these online multiplayer games. He went from Diablo to World of Warcraft. We both did World of Warcraft for quite a long time, to be fair, but he did World of Warcraft for a lot longer than I did, and kept going back to it. He tried pretty much every MMO as they came out. He did he was the type of person that would go into League of Legends, and he'd go into Smite, and he'd go into Heroes of the Storm. All of these MOBAs are a pretty good fit for him, and he will. The big difference between him and me, I think, is that he will have a game that is the game he plays, which is a concept that's foreign to me. Because for me, I'm all thinking oh yeah, I'm gonna play this game and that game and that game, and I'll keep up with all the games as they come out. To the point where for me, that whole period of time where we were stuck playing Heroes of the Storm. What am I trying to say? Not Heroes of the Storm. Sorry, I was picking a new location and I've just blanked for a moment there. Just gonna warp over to a big open area to fight more guys. This is gonna be a long video probably, that's fine. That's what Q&A videos are for. And also, I ramble like crazy and go on tangents, which is because this is all a question about my siblings. But I'm telling them like the biography history of my family or something. Also, I should finally do this thing I've been trying to do this whole freaking time, which is switch my battle character. So I don't have to switch to Sori over and over again. So there's no spoilers here, by the way. I should have said that like half an hour ago, but I'm just running around in open areas, unless seeing a location like this is a spoiler. We were diverging because of the whole console thing. So while I was playing, I was getting super deep into these story-based games, while he was going more and more into these more time-consuming, devoted type of games. And I have troubles processing that. Like, for me, I'm totally like, yeah, let's play every Mass Effect, and let's play every, like, I would play a lot of RPGs that come out. I will play games like Saints Row, every single game in the series, and the Batman games, and so on and so forth. And I will totally, like, start a game, beat it, maybe not play it ever again, but I will experience the game as a thing.
Is that your sword style? Pretty cool.
Well,
Meanwhile, on the other hand, my brother probably doesn't have any interest in ever... I don't think my brother has any interest in ever buying games for the most part. He's one of those people that plays free-to-play games, and maybe they'll do microtransactions, and maybe they'll buy into that at some point, but most games he plays, seem to be just free. And it's been an interesting division watching that happen. Because yeah, he'll be busy with all sorts of other things, and he'll just have his one game he comes home and plays every day. And that'll just be the game he plays forever. And you guys know how many games I play. Tiny Valkyrie says, what is your favorite game you've Let's Played on this channel? I mean, obviously, that would have to be Dark Souls 2 at this point. Because I've played it 4 times on this channel-ish. I did my original playthrough. I did my New Game Plus playthrough. I did, like... I've done, like, half of a co-op series, and then, like, the beginnings of 2 other co-op series that never aired.
Let us not be full of ourselves.
I've done Scholar of the First Sin. I've done, like, most of Scholar of the First Sin New Game Plus. At the time of this recording, I've done the entire main game and the first 2 DLCs. I just need to get around to going back to the last DLC at some point. It's kind of unfortunate that I just kind of fell off the wagon there, but I feel bad about that, like I always do with Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin New Game Plus, Bloodborne New Game Plus, Guild of Dungeoneering, Batman Arkham Knight, what's the other one? Pillars of Eternity. It's a bummer when I don't finish things, but it happens. But yeah, by the sheer number of episodes, obviously, I'm quite a fan of Dark Souls 2, and have had a lot of fun playing it. And I, frankly, like, if I somehow got so famous just for that game that I was one of those YouTubers that is only famous for one game and had to play that game every day forever, I don't think I'd have that much trouble playing Dark Souls 2 all the time. Because you can do so many different builds, and you can do so many different playthroughs and challenge modes and stuff that, like, I could play that every day. It'd be better than my current job for sure. Tiny Valkyrie has a few questions here. Which Let's Players do you watch? Let's see, what am I down to now? Because I don't watch that many now. One of the weird things about me in particular is that the type of Let's Play content I watch is wildly at odds with the type of Let's Play content that I actually produce. Partly because I don't even watch Let's Plays for the same reason as a lot of the people in my audience might. Because a lot of, it's weird because I only know how to grow a YouTube channel for Let's Plays by, like, playing certain games and putting in, like video titles and tags that help draw people in for search results for those various games. So I do these, like, extensive playthroughs of these games, and I say what comes naturally. But the type of content I watch is actually closer to my previous channel. For those of you that have been around long enough to even know about that channel or pay close enough attention, because I do mention it every now and then, I've had a channel called The Sad Games, which, well, we call it Sad Games, but the URL for YouTube would be The Sad Games. And we did silly content mostly, we'd yell at games, we'd make fun of games, and we'd just have a good time, usually at the game's expense. Play a lot of bad games on purpose. And
This one's gonna be tough.
there's a lot of I would play with my friend Andrew because there'd be two of us, and we'd talk over cutscenes, we'd shout about things, we'd make dumb jokes, and that's what we enjoyed doing. And that's actually the type of content I enjoy watching, because I basically don't watch any Let's Plays for the games themselves. Like, I'm not someone. It's hard. It's weird saying this because my primary audience will be the type of person I'm describing, because otherwise, how did they find me in the first place? Because I don't advertise anywhere. Because trying to advertise on places like Reddit and things like that mostly just leads to a lot of negative feedback, as people get really mad at you for posting another Let's Play channel on their subreddit and stuff like that. So a lot of you found my channel by doing the type of behavior I don't do. But I don't, like, when a new game comes out, I only experience it by playing it myself. I don't look up content about how to, like, I don't look up content of the game unless I'm curious about, like, some weird Japanese RPG comes out, and I might look up, like, specifically, like, part 10 of a Let's Play of that thing, because I want to see gameplay footage at random of, like, what type of JRPG is this? Because JRPGs are weird and diverse in ways that are hard to follow, so sometimes I'll do that specific action, but I don't experience games vicariously, like, ever. That's not really a thing I do. I pretty much always play video games myself, which is kind of at odds with the concept of who would watch this channel half the time. So instead I watch Let's Play channels that are more about the people playing the games than the game itself. So the primary people I watch are Game Grumps and Let's Play. And by Let's Play, I mean the channel that's literally the URL Let's Play, which is Achievement Hunter, which is an offshoot from Rooster Teeth, which is a company that I've been watching the content created by them since I was like 13 years old. Because Rooster Teeth made Red vs. Blue way back in the day, and they've had a ton of spin-off content, a lot of which I don't particularly care about, but I followed Jeff Ramsey's Achievement Hunter thing when that first happened. As another annoying tangent, because I'm just going to keep going off on tangents, there's an interesting event. There's an interesting story related to this channel for me, because there was this guy I had on my Xbox Live friends list back in the day, because I used to, before I did Let's Plays, I was pretty deep into achievement hunting. I would just get a lot of achievements all the time, to the point where I have a somewhat horrifying score on Xbox Live. I'm detached enough from that at this point that I can't even remember my score properly, but I think it's something like 140,000 points, which is kind of a big deal because it's before Xbox One came out and kind of threw achievement scores out the window and started having super valuable games, like how Master Chief's worth like 5,000 points or something. So if I had 140,000, that was like the equivalent of completing 140 games. I wasn't that kind of completionist, so it wasn't that. I played way more games than that, but it was a lot. But a person on my friends list from the Achievement Hunter community was Brown Man, and so there was a guy named Brown Man and a guy named Randy Game Freak and a guy named Mercado and a few other people like that. Were just people that I just would hang out with in party chat, and we would just talk for a few hours in the evening while I was playing like Dynasty Warriors Empires 5 or something like that. And one day, I'm looking at the Achievement Hunter. I'm looking at the Rooster Teeth YouTube channel because they didn't have anything separate for Achievement Hunter at the time, and they were doing Achievement Hunter videos, which they were just a video saying, "Here's how you get this achievement in this game." And suddenly, I think it was for Darkest Days or something. I think it was it might have been the horse punching achievement or something like that. Suddenly, Brown Man is in a video. He's presenting a video on how to get an achievement. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this guy from my Xbox Live friends list is on that channel that I've been subscribed to because they made the content I've been watching since I started being a teenager, basically. Like, this really weird, like, confluence of events. And yeah, Brown Man is Ray Narvaez Jr. Ray went on to be a main cast member on the Let's Play channel for a while. He's in, like, the first, I want to say, 140 episodes of their Minecraft Let's Play, and was a regular on that channel all the time. And hey, they had an animated cartoon on that channel, not on the Rooster Teeth channel in that case, or I think the animation's a separate channel for them now. It's all over the place. But it's just this really weird case where this guy that I knew that I would just casually talk to all the time, and it was just like no big deal, suddenly became kind of internet famous. And now he's left Rooster Teeth, and he has become he's a full-time streamer. Like, he's just someone, Brownman/Ray Narvaez Jr. I don't actually know what his username is on Twitch. He just streams, and like that's his job now, which is amazing to me. Like, I'm like a few degrees of like interaction away from just being like this person. Like, it's weird watching someone just rise up like that. But yeah, I watch a lot of Achievement Hunter, but mostly their Minecraft series. Mostly because it's just fun to have. That's the series where they most often has 6 of them together at once, and it's a game they're mostly pretty familiar with, so they kind of just have conversations that are fun to listen to. Similarly, I watch Game Grumps a lot because Dan and I did watch it all the way back when John was around too. Dan and Aaron will just have these like casual conversations and say really funny things while playing a game. And sometimes it's about the game, and sometimes it has nothing to do with the game, but it's a really enjoyable experience. And having a handful of little 10-minute videos each day actually fits better into my, like, say, my lunch break and stuff like that. Or something I can listen to in the background sometimes while I'm editing video. Because I don't have time to just consume huge amounts of video game Let's Play content. I'm probably leveling these characters up. Oh, whatever. It'll just make the series go smoother if I'm a little leveled up, because I don't really grind and I keep running past enemies in the actual series anyway. Basically, I don't have time to just sit around and watch Let's Play content all the time. And when I do have time to just sit around and watch something passively and give it my full attention, I'm frankly usually more interested in watching scripted content. I watch the LARP series once a week on... Is that on Geek on Sundry? But more than anything, I watch actual, like, shows. Like, I'll watch television shows, because I have a lot of shows that I enjoy watching, frankly. So it's, those short comedy videos work better for me. And those are, interestingly, like, they're not what got me to get into Let's Playing, though, as a bit of a surprise. For those that don't know, because I'm bringing this up just because one of the first things you might think is like, oh, he did a 2-person commentary channel and he likes Game Grumps. He must have been copying Game Grumps. In reality, actually, the weird thing here is that, what is it? I had this random idea because I was a student in college, and this is so far off from being a Q&A at this point, I'm just going off on whatever fucking tangent I feel like. On college, there's always protesters, and it was usually, like, because it's California, they're usually really conservative protesters that are really mad about all the, like, liberals they're mad at on campus, and I don't know, it's a weird experience, because I'm just walking between classes, and there's people that are trying to tell me why abortions are bad, and I'm like, go away, I'm about to go take, like, critical thinking and Norse mythology, and I'm about to read about how Loki made an 8-legged horse by sleeping with like Odin's horse, and I don't need to know about your opinions on abortions right now, but apparently this is what my life has to be. And so I had really ambitious concepts for, like, my YouTube channel at one point, where I would actually, like, I would actually talk to people. The idea was that I would take people that have wildly different opinions, and I would actually have a straight-up discussion with them, and not just... And it would be interesting, because I'm not someone who... A lot of people shut down during discussions, and they're rude to people, and they'll like, you know, like, the type of person that'll be like, to represent their opponent and stuff like that, or, like, people that just, like, they become stupid in their own argument because it becomes more about emotion than arguing at some point. I'm someone who will actually talk about the things that are being talked about and have a real discussion, so I thought it'd be interesting to interview people that I don't agree with about stuff like that. And so one of the pilot things for that was this idea that I'd get some friends of mine together, some of which were conservatives and stuff like that, and we would all get together and we would have a discussion about, like maybe current events and stuff like that, and just have a show where that's like a panel of people talking, and we called it Sit and Discuss.
No
can stand in our way.
Oh, that was cute. It was. I thought basically I had this idea for a political debate channel of some kind, and we got some friends together, and we didn't pre-plan very well, and also it was a bunch of people that weren't used to talking to each other, so I kind of just let it flow naturally, and it turned into just being this awkward let's just grab chess, and who cares if it's off camera technically for the series. We did like a political show for a little while, or I wanted to, but we weren't used to talking to each other, so it mostly just was a catching up moment where everyone would kind of interact. We ended up talking about like StarCraft and like a whole bunch of random bullshit, and it was just random. It just became a nonsensical podcast basically with like 6 people and people coming and going midway through the thing, and it was an unorganized mess, and we never got that group of people again together, so it never continued from there. But we did it in my friend Andrew's garage. And so I got in the habit of sort of hanging out around Andrew, because I hadn't really hung out with him before. I'd mostly just seen him a few times, but he volunteered his house as the location for that podcast type thing, and I hung out around more besides that. And we just randomly, like, he did a Steam review for Amnesia: The Dark Descent, talking about how Amnesia scared the crap out of him, and he made a review that basically said, play Amnesia, get insomnia. And so I just had this idea, like, wouldn't it be funny if you're so afraid of this game to, like, record it? Because I had, like, a Dazzle and Fraps on my, like, so, like, I had some experience with recording stuff. I was one of those assholes that recorded my guild taking down a boss in, I was one of those assholes that recorded a video of my guild taking down a boss in World of Warcraft Burning Crusade and set it to Bleed It Out by Linkin Park when I was a teenager. Like, that all happened. So, like, I'm used to making dumb videos and editing them and stuff, so I was like, let's try making a video of you being afraid of this game. And so we started doing stuff like that. We recorded Amnesia Justine, which is the free expansion that they made, basically. We did Xbox Live Indie Games, what we started doing, and so it just sort of became a natural thing where we, starting with Xbox Live Indie Games, where we would kind of just play a bunch of games that we didn't like that much and just shit all over them and have fun together doing that. And so we kind of became this proto Game Grumps, because we did this in 2011. We did it for like a full year, actually, before Game Grumps even came into being in the first place. So for us, it was kind of this weird surprise, like, wow, we keep watching all of these internet celebrities that we like already start doing the thing that we're already doing, and like we're gonna keep feeling like a rip-offs. There's actually an ongoing thing where we would want to start a specific game, and then while we're in the process of planning to start it, or in the time between us starting it and uploading it, like we'd record something, and then the next day Game Grumps would have an episode of that game specifically up, and we'd be like, fuck. Not that it matters, because no one knew we existed, and it's not like we actually never really getting accused of copying them or anything, but it was the general concept, so it was like, how does this keep happening? And I'm rambling so much. That's fine, we're fine. Everyone dead yet? No, we're good. We're still healthy at the moment. So yeah, like, we did 2 years of that kind of content, so it's not too crazy that I watched that kind of content, because I did actually produce it for a while, and it's what fits for me. Because oddly enough, I think I'm a weird exception in the concept that I am someone who started creating Let's Play content without actually being used to watching it. I think a lot of people watch Let's Play content and then like, I can do that too, and then they try to do it too, and a lot of them fail and some of them succeed and get inspired, some of them take off and start doing it full-time or something like that, but I literally was just hanging out with a friend and had experience making some content via video recordings, and just was like, let's make a thing, and just came upon the concept naturally. Oh, hello. I'll just grab it. These are so not story related, it's kind of who cares. It's not a big deal. I should apply it to someone's weapon though, or it's just gonna stand here. Hello. That's the type of stuff I wouldn't find necessarily in the main series anyway. But yeah, it's as another ongoing tangent. I get bothered when people say that Let's Plays are old descendant of Something Awful, and then they talk about the rules of the forum on Something Awful and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'll be curious. You guys in the comments, if you've made it this far in the video, because you probably haven't, because I've been rambling forever and just letting this turn into a podcast, apparently. Do you know what Something Awful is? Do you know anything about the rules for Let's Plays? Like how long you're supposed to wait before you do a Let's Play, and how you're supposed to make a Let's Play? Because I don't think most viewers of Let's Plays do. Because just because there was some forum that had something called Let's Plays that was about sort of telling a story while you play a game, that I don't think that necessarily means that they started Let's Plays or like are the reason why we all do it. Because frankly, I started doing Let's Plays without having heard of Let's Plays. Like, we just didn't call them Let's Plays at first. We changed the title to Let's Play once I realized that that was a term people use a lot. Because at some point, it's just everyone plays video games. You can say funny stuff. You can say funny stuff while playing video games, and the software and hardware involved in making videos about video games has become so easy to acquire for the most part that I think just the concept of making I think the concept of Let's Plays is just such a natural conclusion. I don't think that you even need to be inspired by a specific thing or I've heard about them before to come up with the idea. But that's just a tangent in a weird direction. Anyway, the question was what Let's Players do you watch, and it's Game Grumps and Achievement Hunter. And as a side note, actually, Plague of Gripes. That's a random exception, but I've listened to Plague of Gripes talk a lot, and I like the way he talks and the way he discusses things, and it's kind of his morbid sense of humor. And he started doing a series on Dark Souls 1, and for me, I'm like, okay, it's not a comedy series in the same nature, but he's doing a super in-depth descriptive playthrough of Dark Souls 1, and I like Dark Souls a lot, and I like Plague of Gripes a lot, so I'll watch this series, whereas I didn't watch his other series about, like, I have no mouth and I must scream, because I'm like, no, I want to play that game myself. Get out of here, Let's Play series, maybe one day. Next question, also from Tiny Valkyrie, is what is your biggest commenter pet peeve? For me, there's two things I hate on. It's both sides of the spectrum. It's basically trying too hard and not trying hard enough. Basically, I like it when stuff comes naturally, which you might notice if you watch something like Achievement Hunter or Game Grumps. They're mostly just hanging out and their personalities come through. I spent a lot of time on the Let's Play subreddit, a subreddit about making Let's Plays, and you see a lot of newcomers trying to do what they do, and I kind of hate so much of the content. I got my Let's Player pet peeves got burned into my brain really quickly because we at one point we competed in a thing called Unsucky Sunday, which is a competition about Let's Plays where you submit a video you made and then someone judges all the videos and makes like a top 5 of like these are the winners this week. It's called Unsucky Sunday because the joke is not like these are the best people at Let's Playing. It's like these are the least shitty Let's Players on the subreddit because it's kind of a jab at the a jab at the quality level there. On Sad Games, we actually won. In fact, I later went on to win. I actually won myself on my solo channel once too. But one of the 5 winners each week will actually become the next week's judge. So me and Andrew became the judges for a week of Unsucky Sunday, and it was also, I don't know why, but it was also a really high participation week for Unsucky Sunday, so we had like 85 competitors, I want to say, and goddamn, that's too many. So we had to watch like 80 videos from people that were frankly small Let's Play channels that aren't very good at this for the most part, and man, you might think it'd be a little bit of a practice, like an exercise involved in like narrowing your list down to 5. It was actually more of like trying to find 5 people to play.
How are Soray's capabilities as a shepherd?
It was actually hard to find 5 people to even put on the list at all because the quality levels were so low. And the biggest things all the time, and the biggest advice I gave to people making Let's Play videos was like, think about your audience. Who is this for? What do they want out of this? I can't say like because of the hypocrisy myself. I can't just say if you were shown this content, would you enjoy it? Because I don't generally make the type of Let's Play content that I consume in a weird contradictory sense. But the idea is like, if you put yourself in the specific frame of mind of who would want this type of content, are you making the thing that they want to watch? And the problem that a lot of these channels had, I've cleared about a lot of this area, haven't I? Damn. We must be leveling up. How do I put this? Like, whoever the content's for is this content they're gonna want to watch. And they'd go on two sides of the spectrum all the time. One was they try too hard. They were trying so hard to be like a PewDiePie or a Markiplier or something, and they were like freaking out nonstop and making crazy faces and squealing like jackasses and frankly overplaying it in a way that those two people actually don't quite do. Because as much as PewDiePie is like a parody of himself and like he's like a cartoon character that we all think about, in practice, like when I watched him play Dark Souls, for example, because he played Dark Souls 2 and stuff like that. It's like he was actually like, he was being wacky here and there, but he was actually kind of a chill dude for some of that stuff. But a lot of the impersonators that try to do what he does are so annoying, and I already find PewDiePie annoying, but these people were infuriating to watch. But the other side was people who didn't seem to understand the concept of a Let's Play because they would just hit record and just play a game for a while, and whatever sound that came out of their face was just whatever sound came naturally out of them. But like, there's a difference between naturalistic commentary and just like the natural audio of you playing a game. Because if you just hook someone up with a microphone and just start playing a game, they're mostly just gonna sit there in dead silence with a dead expression on their face while they play some game, and they'll grunt every now and then, or they might be like, oh, what if I do, and stuff like that. It's like I was watching some guy play a fucking puzzle game, and he wasn't explaining any of his thought process ever. He was just like, what if I, alright, and this over here, and like just like weird half, not even like half sentences if you're lucky, but oftentimes just straight up half words, and it's just not good. You gotta have commentary, and there'll always be arguments about how dense the commentary should be, if you should talk non-stop the way some people do, like I often do, or if you just chip in here and there, but also allow lots of silence here and there. Like, there's pacing differences from person to person, but there should be a pacing to it. And some people just did not have their audience in mind when they were making their content, so their content was amazingly boring. And it's like, why would anyone want to watch this? And that one's actually worse for me, because when someone's trying too hard, at least they're trying. But there's some Let's Play channels that are like, why aren't I famous yet? Why isn't anyone watching my videos? But then you watch their videos and like, you seem like the most apathetic, bored person on the face of the planet. Like, you're not even paying attention. Like, if you don't care, why should anyone else care? And that was actually that was an ongoing thing for me with Andrew on Sad Games, is I would often bring up like, you can't be apathetic about the quality for these videos, because if you don't care, then why would anyone want to watch it? Because we had some videos where it's like, this should not be put up, or we should stop for the day and come back another day because one or both of us have commentary where we're just like out of it or not invested, and it's not going to be a good day. Because if you don't care, why should anyone else? And so that's a huge problem for me. I think I'm going to make the next comment the last one. Let's see. Oh no, the next ones aren't too bad. Let's see. CW666 The Beast. What is your favorite episode of Futurama and why? I thought about this one a little bit in advance, but it's also still hard to narrow down because the show is so huge, because it has like 150 episodes, I want to say, or maybe more than that. I don't know. I don't remember how many episodes it has, but it has a lot of episodes. But as a general rule, like, I think Futurama is one of the best shows ever made, basically, and I quite enjoy, in particular, when they go into sad territory. Like, anyone who's seen the show remembers, like, Seymour, the dog, and how fucked up the end of that episode is. There's actually, in one of the last, either the last season or second to last season, there's a scene where Fry gets a rare chance to talk to his mom. Oh wow, I don't think I've seen her do that before. I think I've only seen the humans do those moves.
I still got stamina.
There's a rare chance where you see Fry talk to his mom back in the past, knowing full well that he's probably never going to see her again, and she's going to be gone forever, and it's like, that's actually really... Like, the mom was a cartoon character in most literal sense of, like, up to that point, she was such a caricature just shouting at a television while sports games played that she didn't have much of a character. But in that scene, you actually get really... It's actually kind of a breakup, like, horrible, sad moment, even, like, where they're able to humanize this character that wasn't very human before, and make you really feel for how tragic Fry's origin is in Futurama. Like, those kinds of things are really good for me. But also, I love the surreal, insane scenarios. So for me, I think my favorite episode is actually The Sting, which is the episode where
Haste makes waste, and I'm not talking about garbage.
Sure thing, Layla. Layla? Oh crap. Is it Layla? It is Layla. I get mixed up with Leela because I'm talking about Futurama. In Futurama, there's an episode called The Sting, which is that Bender, I want to say Bender, Fry, and Leela are sent to collect some kind of like hallucinogenic honey that's produced by giant space bees, and there's a horrible accident where one of them is like really brutally, I think just straight up dies in that scene, and the survivor is grieving the loss of this person and trying to deal with their grief, but also getting hallucinations or visions that may indicate that this person's actually still alive somewhere. And so it's this horrible, almost like that Jim Carrey Spotless Mind video or whatever it was called, where his mind's being erased because much like that Jim Carrey movie, like reality seems to be coming apart, and this grief for this person that's being lost, and trying to cling at the slightest hints that they might still be around, while also being a comedy because Futurama is still a comedy. And I think that like it's a beautiful episode, and it's really sad, and it's really a lot of cool, fun things happen throughout it. And it's a really memorable experience, and it brought up it made me realize at some point that, like, I think oftentimes the saddest moments on television are actually sad things that happen in funny shows, weirdly enough. And I think that's because you get the full range of emotion. Like, I've never felt super sad watching the Nolan Batman movies, even though like main characters die in horrible ways in those movies and stuff like that, because it's just a sad show all the time. So how do you feel anything about it? So it's like oh well, another sad thing happened in Gotham. What a shocker! That place that's just sad all the time. But when you have a happy, fun show, then you're going back and forth, and there's extremes, and it's like being hot and then touching something cold, or vice versa. Like the jarring shift in tone makes the sadness more poignant, and I think that's why Futurama is actually a show that makes some people cry, because when it gets sad involving people that normally make you happy, and you're invested. So I think it's able to gut punch you all the more. And that's why it's so good to watch an episode like Seymour, which I don't know if it's called Seymour or not, but it's the episode with Seymour, or the episode where Fry meets his mom, or like I said, the episode called The Sting. So check out The Sting. It's probably on, I think the whole show's on Netflix, so you can just find out what I'm talking about by looking it up. But thanks for that question, because Doctor Who and Futurama, fantastic. I freaking love hard sci-fi or soft not hard sci-fi might be the right concept for it, but I love sci-fi shows that go full weird. There's a lot of sci-fi that's just space sci-fi, like Star Trek. Well, actually, no, Star Trek, it's actually pretty full weird at times. But Star Wars is just a show where it might, like, you could tell the same story on Earth. Like, instead of Alderaan being destroyed as a planet, it could just be like a town that got burned down by raiders. Like, you could probably tell the entire story of Star Wars in the context of like a Western or something like that. But a lot of the stuff going on in Futurama, or more recently now, Rick and Morty, and Doctor Who, is so batshit insane that it only can happen in this weird fantasy world, and that's why I love, because crazy things can happen on these shows. Rick and Morty, if you guys haven't seen it, is fantastic. Both because it is the successor to Futurama in many ways, as being this new sci-fi cartoon that's just full wacky and all the crazy concepts it's willing to play with, while also being a pretty funny show. But also because it's capable of going into really dark and sometimes really sad territory. There was recently an episode, and I won't say which one it was, but I believe it was season 2, and it was a really hard to watch episode. Like not until the very last moment, because the whole episode was a basic concept, but it pulled it pulled a great trick on the audience, because the audience thought that the episode was designed to make the audience think one way the whole episode, but then it was willing to twist that on you and lead to what was actually like a really tragic ending for an episode, and it just ended on a super down note. And even the final like post-credit scene they always do was like actually like just really awful to watch, and they just committed to it, and then the episode ended, and they were just, it was like, fuck you, no, that's how this ends, there's no happy ending. And that's great, because committing to those crazy things and exploring different emotions, even in the context of sci-fi comedy, can lead to just the most fun shows to watch, because frankly I never know what I'm getting myself into, and that's why I love it so much. This is an old comment that I feel bad for not reading sooner, because I kept meaning to in these various videos, but I also kept not doing Q&A videos. It's from Derrick Dorris, and I think he might have made this comment all the way back when I hit 1,000 subscribers. He says, "This is my first comment ever on YouTube, and I just wanted to say I watched every video on your Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin playthrough." I guess it wasn't back then if it was Scholar of the First Sin. "In a strange way, it helped me through a really tough time in my life, dealing with lots of medical issues, family life, etc. Sounds weird, but it did. I just wanted to let you know. Thanks, man." I get comments like that every now and then about like someone saying that somehow my content helps them through a hard time, and it's hard to process because I don't have the context for it, but I appreciate it, and that's definitely it's the type of thing that's encouraging and that helps me commit the amount of time I do, because it can be hard to do that. And it's hard to conceptualize that you playing a game and editing video and putting on the internet helps people or feel better, but at the same time I guess it happens to me too, because I have days where I come home from work and I feel awful because I really, really dislike the job that I have right now, and I will actually feel like I'll be worried that I won't be able to even make any content that day, and I just am not in the right mood for it. And then I'll watch like a couple episodes of Game Grumps that came up that day, and I'll have that one vital moment where something like a joke properly lands and I actually like fully laugh at something, and it turns your mood around, and suddenly I'll go record 4 hours of stuff and stay up till 11 o'clock editing it, and I'll just do the whole spiel like I always do, as if I never felt awful earlier that day. So I guess if that happens to sometimes to people there. I don't know. It's all crazy. It's hard to accept that you're all real people that actually want to watch this.
I still got stamina to spare. You guys hanging in there?
Moving on to BallotBoxer. On a recent series, you mentioned getting review copies and other early access perks from being a YouTuber on the rise. How did this come about? Did they seek you out or vice versa? For the most part, most of the review codes I've kind of gotten on my own a little bit. There are websites like Do Distribute and Evolve PR is one of those companies, and like there's a few, and Keymailer, where you can kind of create a profile or register certain things, and basically people, you hook them up with the official email and stuff, and get involved with these PR companies, and they'll be hired to distribute codes for certain things. And like Evolve is how I ended up getting. I actually got free copies of $60 games. It was specifically Dying Light and Witcher 3. Like, Witcher 3 was great because obviously I was absolutely going to play that, so it was a big deal to get a free copy of it. But Dying Light actually, that very well may be a game that I only Let's Played on this channel, specifically because I got a free copy of it, and I was so excited to get a free copy of a $60 game for the first time that I was like, let's make video of this for sure, because this is amazing. And I was so psyched about that. But it's so helpful to get a free copy of anything because it just offsets the costs. If you want to talk about like big, like game reviewers will always talk about this being a low margin business for being a reviewer because you make an article, but you have to get a $60 game. So can you get enough ad revenue from that review to make more than $60 to even pay for the game, let alone the time investment and stuff like that? Right now, I'm just now starting to get in the territory where I make money from the videos faster than I would spend on them in general, but you still have to deal with like time investment and stuff. Like if I look at this as a job, the last 6 months are probably like the last 6 months of Let's Playing, if you look at it as a job, would be the worst pay that I will probably ever have for anything that you can call a job for the rest of my life, because it's just when you compare the amount of money you get to the amount of hours you put in, it's not a reasonable thing to do. Like the fact that I like doing it and it's something that I get something out of, is the only reason it's justifiable. I feel like I'm building something, so that's why I stick to it.
Can't just run around blindly.
You build it for years and you feel like you're constructing something and making progress, and it's actually kind of a nice central pillar in my life because my actual job feels stagnant and my ability to go anywhere from my like college degree and carve any sort of future feels like something that's not always entirely in your control, and sometimes about luck and connections and things that you can't necessarily account for and couldn't have been prepared for when you were younger because you never knew the world was going to be the way it is when you are an adult and all that stuff. Whereas Let's Playing, like, there's a sense of progression to it. Like, as an RPG player, as you might imagine, even though I said the numbers have no hold over me, these numbers have a different implication because the numbers are people that want to see the thing I do, so there's like a validation to it, and it's kind of nice to build that up and keep seeing that. So even though it doesn't pay well, I still do it even while it's hard to find time for it, just because it actually kind of like from a psychological standpoint probably helps reinforce things that I don't get anywhere else, because I don't get to be creative at my job and don't really get validated at my job and probably question the direction my life's heading in and don't know if how things are going to work. And it's like there's like reassuring and reaffirming elements of running a channel and having it progress over time. And I forgot what the comment was. Oh, perks of being a YouTuber. But yeah, like right now it's growing and I can kind of pay for stuff, but more than anything, I desperately need to grow the channel because I just need to be able to have better margins for paying for food and rent and car payments and all those other fun problems. So getting free codes is actually a really big deal, and it pisses me off a little bit because you may have seen from a previous video, if you're here long enough, someone tried to impersonate me at some point. It's an ongoing problem that people pretend to be Let's Players, and they'll be like, yeah, this is my channel, send me free games, but they'll have like some dumb fake email, and like someone got caught trying to get a copy of Grey Goo, like some kind of scumbag, using my name. And so I'm like, oh cool, so someone's trying to fleece free copies off of me and potentially damage my reputation in a way that could like actually like be bad for my income. Like that's pretty awful. But the primary way I get codes is through those PR companies that I contact and give me I give them official information, and they may select me when it's time to distribute codes. For example, I did get Witcher 3, I did get Dying Light, I did get the Dying Light Bozak Horde DLC, but I don't know if I'll actually do anything with that, honestly. I did not get Soma when I tried to get it, and I did not get the the Witcher 3 Hearts of Stone DLC. I did get a copy of Divinity Original Sin Enhanced Edition. Like that, like it's you get games. Sometimes you don't get games. Other times, other services that like do distribute are more about indie games. So you kind of just sign up your email and request a code for a game, and a lot of indie developers will just give their game to basically anyone. And so that's how a lot of the Let's Try games came up. a lot of those are indie games that I was like, hey, I'll check that out. You want to give me a code? And then they just give me a code, because they'll give a code to anyone that's going to give their game coverage. Because you go on Steam, there's so many games coming out every day that there's just intense competition, and they kind of need exposure, and so that helps them out. So they give you the code, and I try to make content for it if I get the chance, or maybe not. And then other times there's other indie developers that will show up in my messages, and they'll actually like contact me about either by email or my messages on my YouTube account asking me to cover their game. Sometimes it's legitimately like a Steam game coming out on a green light or something, and other times it's like phone games or browser games, like they want me to play their game on Congregate to advertise it. And I'm like, I don't know if that's necessarily the direction I want to go in. But so the answer is yes, both. Some games come to you, and you have to go out there for certain other games in order to get free copies. And there's no guarantees, because it's completely up to them whether anyone wants to send you stuff. But it definitely helps when it happens. And one last comment down here. Radical Retcon. There's other comments. I'm just saying last one because I picked out these ones to answer today. And I'm already taking way longer than I meant to because I ramble so much. But I have more comments set aside. Radical Retcon says, when you come home at night and are tired, you just want to go to bed, but you need to record or else you will fall behind on your upload schedule. What do you do to motivate yourself? This is something that I struggle with personally. That was a big struggle for a long time. We had a lot of trouble with sad games because we would record for like an hour oftentimes and then stop. And that would be it for the day. And it worked when Andrew lived like a mile away from my house, but then he moved to Sacramento at one point, and it was actually a commute, and I would only be able to visit him like on my way home from college, basically, like once a week. And so you'd have that fatigue problem, like how do we record enough content to actually make stuff for you, like for the channel, because we had to make a week's worth of content in only one day, and it's brutal. And oftentimes we just kind of didn't have a solution for that, and we would just not have videos for a few days, maybe. For me nowadays, I honestly don't know if I can answer the question properly. One thing is definitely it's helpful to have something that puts you in a better mood, and it's helpful to have caffeine. It's like I drink.
Could this be some sort of training?
I drink coffee a lot on good days and Monster Energy drink on bad days, and I'll consume caffeine sources to help myself go for the session. Usually just one thing of caffeine per day, because after work that's just enough. The caffeine lasts just long enough to last you through recording and start wearing off while you're editing, and then hopefully you'll be able to sleep properly in time to get like 6 hours of sleep to wake up in the morning to work again. Schedule will be better for people that don't make as many videos as me. But hey buddy. So like I think it helps what I said earlier about having like something you can watch that puts you in a better mood in various cases. So like I have Game Grumps can help me out when I'm not feeling up for recording properly. But honestly, if you commit to it all the time, and it's not a question of whether or not you're going to do it, then you can find that it stops being that kind of problem. I think you kind of find that it stops being a problem in some ways, because
I still got stamina to spare. You guys hanging in there?
Yeah, we're hanging in there, even though I'm recording like 70 minutes at this point. It's like, I imagine it's kind of like if you are someone who works out every day, or goes running every day, or something like that, or goes on the treadmill every day, like some sort of daily regimen, or like if you're having a diet and you have to stick to it every day. Like if you're doing Let's Plays every single day, and you have a schedule you fit to, and you kind of don't give yourself the option to just say no every day, I think you can just do it, honestly. Sorry about that. Sudden sneeze. Because there was a problem early on when I started this channel on my own, and I was only doing one episode a day, and not always even one episode every day. 2 years ago at this point. you would basically, every day, I made the mistake of making it a question whether I was going to do Let's Plays that day. Like, I would do some treadmill work, I would go work at my dad's shop to make some money, because I was still unemployed after graduating college. I would cook breakfast and things like that, and then it would be like, maybe I'll play video games for fun, or on my own, or maybe I'll do some Let's Plays. And it would be like when the feeling came up, and like when I felt like it. But, ever since I, leave me alone, buddy. Ever since I, wow, they're making a mess over there. Ever since I moved out, like 8 months ago, and started doing this really, really full time, it just is a fact that I go to work, I come home, I record some stuff, I edit it, I go to sleep. And you don't need to have an insane schedule like that, but if it is just a matter of fact, like needing to get gas or going to lunch or going to work and stuff like that, if that's just part of your routine and you have to do it when it's time to do it, I think you might find that you just condition yourself to just get in this, you just slip right in back into that state of mind that makes it possible to hiccup. No, you just slip right back into the state of mind required to make the content like it's no big deal. And maybe that doesn't happen normally. Maybe that's just something that happens because I'm an insane person who's been doing this for like 4 years. Because I will totally accept the idea that it's just all practice at this point. But one way or another, I'm conditioned enough after years of doing this that it just comes naturally to me, I think. And yeah, there's no question of whether I'm going to record something has basically gone horribly wrong with my schedule that day if I actually end up in a situation where I don't make videos at all. Because I just have been making videos every day, except for maybe 1 day a week, every other week or something. When I have like something I have to deal with that day that takes up the day. It's a matter of fact that part of my schedule is to record videos. It's like if that's just part of your day, then I think it'll just happen. And if you get enough practice and I think you just get disciplined and you work up the tolerance and you. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's it. It's like if you're Adam Carolla and you do like, or I don't know if that's even a good example, but someone who does like 3 podcasts a week, or someone who does like the Daily Show, like does their like when Jon Stewart would do those 4 shows a week, or people that do nightly talk shows, like you just do it enough that it just is something you can slip back into all the time, and it's not that big of a deal. Hey, everyone's about to hit level 27. Won't have to be grinding for a while. But yeah, I guess it's just a mixture of, I'd say it's a mixture of discipline and practice, I guess. But anyway, guys, this has been a long, rambling nonsense. Thanks for watching. I haven't even, this went on for so long I might have to decide whether it's going to be 1 video or 2 or what. But if you want to leave a comment, you can leave questions in the comments, and I'll put them in my text document to answer in future Q&A videos whenever they happen, next week or next year, I don't know. Thanks for watching this much, you lunatics. And thanks for watching like always. You can go to check out my Twitter, SebastianSB. The link's in the description of every single video, basically. If you want to just see my ramblings in general, or just get quick questions here and there, like I often will just respond to questions all the time on there, because it's just a quick way of interacting. And you can check out my Patreon, which is also in the description. I actually blanked for a minute there if it was Sebastian SB or if it was Keith Ballard on the Patreon, but the Patreon is in the description if you want to check that out, where you could potentially like do sponsored videos, or where you tell me if you're the higher supporters get to tell me a game to play each month. And but everyone, no matter what level you're supporting at, gets to have some kind of hand in choosing what the monthly game is that I play, which is why we played Crash Bandicoot and Super Meat Boy and Far Cry 4. Thanks for watching like always, and thanks for listening to me ramble. Hope you guys have more interesting little questions, and if I haven't answered your question yet, I probably still have it in my text document, and I'm planning on getting it to later, but also don't be afraid to ask it again, I guess. If it's a duplicate question, I'll notice, because I'm not gonna answer the same questions over and over again mostly, and it's not a bad thing. It's just fine. I'll just be like, all right, they're just resubmitting it. That's fine. But feel free to ask questions, and I'll try to get to them sooner or later if they're appropriate questions to answer and stuff like that. I'm gonna go play some Fallout. Well, actually, I'm gonna go play some Tales of Zestiria since it's open right now. And then Fallout and Wasteland and Zestiria. I already said that. Disgaea. And am I gonna have time to play Soma tonight? I swear I'm trying to finish Soma and Metal Gear Solid 4 and Far Cry 4. Or Metal Gear Solid 5. I'll get it. Maybe I'll finish Soma this weekend. I really hope. Just the timing. Everything takes time. This took time. This took way longer than I meant for it to. Turns out playing a video game makes it really easy to just ramble on about questions for a while. Because I tried answering questions earlier tonight and I was just stilted and staring at the screen. I'm like, I can't formulate answers to questions. Then I started playing a game and I'm like, I got this. Alright, see you guys next time.